Hey, what's up, team? Robert here. Listen, I'm at the church and doing some troubleshooting. So this past Sunday, we had problems with our confidence monitor, the projector on the outside, and lower thirds. And so I wanted to come up here and do some troubleshooting. I did. I want to show you what I did because I couldn't bring everybody up here. So I want to share what I did and some of the things I know and understand real quick. Before I show you actual technical stuff, let's talk a little bit spiritually. Okay. So number one, the devil has no power here. And I have to say that because people are like, well, the devil's been busy or something's happening, so the devil's trying to intercept. Not really. Okay. The devil doesn't just come up and touch equipment and boom, like magically things start going awry. What the devil usually does is does it through us, right? So it's like, hey, something's going wrong, something's going crazy, and they get all our anxiety going. And then James, there's no James on the team, so I won't offend anybody, but James goes and starts pulling stuff or taking stuff out or trying different cables and stuff like that. Next thing you know, we got two or three things going wrong. This equipment's state of the art. It's been here for years. I'm always diligent about making sure we take care of it for the reason that we want it to last. So if there's a problem, usually 9 times out of 10, something has changed or something has happened or someone has bumped something. Someone is not paying attention to what's going on. Okay. Very few times do equipment actually fail. It happens, but it happens very seldomly. Same thing with cables, right? There's no rats or anything biting cables in here. Like, if something's gone wrong, look for something that's changed before you do anything else. Okay. So I'm going to show you some things that I did to solve the problem. Now, with those 3 things, everything comes from Propresenter, right? Most things come from Propresenter. They also come from the camera switcher. But I'm just going to show you, I'm going to kind of focus on this issue and focus on more of the troubleshooting things than the actual issue. Okay, let's get started. So one thing I want to show you is that we have documentation. So a while ago, I mapped out all the connections that we have for our video stuff. So anything that's coming in and going out, this is a diagram that maps it. If you're looking for documentation, then go to the media team, our Google media team, or media@facecenterinc.org, our email, but it's also, we use Google Drive or, shared drives. So you want to go to shared drives and media team library, right? You can find anything you want there. I'm just going to go back to this. Right, but if you want to understand how anything's connected, find this diagram. That's the first place you want to start if you have no idea what you're doing, okay? So for this particular problem, I needed to have Propresenter up. So I need to turn on all the equipment and get Propresenter up. And I also want to test the lower thirds, so I went to one of our worship sets. And as you can see, I've got it up on the screen. And I could show you that lower thirds is now working. It's still working since Sunday. I haven't had to make any changes. I just turned it on. But as you can see, I'm controlling this from the camera switcher, lower third works. Also, I'm going to show you that the confidence monitor. So here you go. I'm just showing you that the confidence monitor now works. Now again, made no changes, just turned on the system, right? So we're done, right? Just go ahead and leave. Not quite. So we're in the back sound room, our audio room, Stephen and team's area. And so I had to come back here and make sure that their monitor is working, right? So they get a feed from the sanctuary. And actually what I should have showed you is that there is Wirecast. So I'm going to go back and show you that in a second. But here is their monitor. You want to turn it on and make sure that they're operating. Now you're going to come in here and you might notice that it's on, but you don't see anything. You have to make sure that their decimator, which is converting the signal, is on, which means you just have to turn on this power strip. Okay. But more importantly, this is an area you want to check in terms of the feeds from the sanctuary, because the audio team needs to see what's going on stage so they can operate sound appropriately. All right. So before we go any further, I want to show you Wirecast, or make sure that you recognize Wirecast. So Wirecast is what we use to stream to Facebook and YouTube, but it's also what we use to feed the TVs in the lobby, whether it's the information desk, baby room, prayer room, next steps. It also feeds the sound room in the back, which I just showed you. So remember to turn on Wirecast. So we're going to check in the next steps room as one of the TVs that we want to check. Now, all I did was turn on one TV. They're all connected, so it's pretty rare that all 4 TVs won't work if one works. So usually you can just check one. So that's what I did, is turned on one. This one's working. I should know the next steps is working. So I'm outside of the prayer room. So we have the prayer room and the baby room. I'm just gonna check one of them again because they're all connected, and I'm gonna show you how they're all connected. But this TV's working. Now, when I turned it on, it was not working, okay? So what I had to do, which usually happens on Sunday morning, is there's a converter box back here, right here, okay? It is not defective, there's nothing wrong with it. Just reseed the power cable, this one that I'm tapping. If you reseed it, it'll reset the signal and you'll get the signal back. So that's only in the case if you don't see a picture. If you see a picture, there's nothing to do. But when I came in, I didn't videotape it, but when I came in, it wasn't showing signal. All I did was reset that box, just pulling power, you don't have to change HDMI cables, you don't have to change inputs. That's all you have to do. Okay, so we're in the concrete area, right? And we have our big projector in the concrete area. So that projector is, hopefully you can see it, stop. Boom, that's the projector, right? I'm gonna show you the remote and what you need to turn on. It is working now, but it was not working. And we're gonna talk about why it was not working, which is really important. Here's another thing too, is I came out to turn this on and it would not come on. And I was like, why is it not coming on? Let me show you why. So this is the door that goes to the backstage area. And you're familiar with this if you know how to turn on the screens and stuff like that. So inside this door is the controls for the screen, as well as the lights in the lobby. But what you want to make sure is that the speaker switch is on. If the speaker switch is not on, the projector in the lobby is not powered. They're all actually connected. So we're in the back hall, and there's a room, or there's 2 doors actually, if you come in through that authorized door where I showed you where the switches are. There are 2 doors here. The door to the left is our cabling closet. This is where our internet comes in. All the devices are cabled. It's a really important room. Please don't mess with anything, but I want to show you how all the TVs are connected. So there's this splitter box here. I'll show you the front of it, right? And there's a feed that comes in from the sanctuary. Oops, I'm covering it. Comes in from the sanctuary and splits off to all the TVs, including the kitchen, prayer room, baby room, next steps, all of it. It actually has to go through this converter box to convert the signals for those TVs, and that's it. That's what needs to be on. So if none of the TVs are working, come in and check and make sure this is on. I actually wanted to keep this off during the week, but we just have to make sure that people turn it back on. But that's another thing to check. Okay, we're back in the booth, and we're going to talk about actual troubleshooting. What probably went wrong and what happened, and kind of go through all the steps along the way. So I'm showing you this. This is kind of the heart of our ministry. This is the heart of all the equipment. Everything from a video perspective runs off of this central box, okay? The reason I'm showing you it is because I think what may have happened is, you see this box up here? All the connections come in here and out of there between that box and this box. This main box is our camera switcher. So that's what operates the camera switcher, and it has feeds that are coming into it and going out of it as well. I don't want to get into all the details of it, but quite simply, I think what's happening is when we're shadowing somebody, and I'm going to put my ugly knees here, and someone's sitting here, they're probably bumping this or hitting one of the switches, which can maybe possibly change the configuration. If that happens, then we have to reboot the whole system, okay? Now, let me kind of go step by step. So it started off with the confidence monitor having an issue, okay? And so when I came up on Sunday, what I started to notice, okay, and we have decimators here. These decimators are just conversion boxes from one signal to another, right? And what I could see is that the one for lower thirds, which is, I'm going to show you, this one, sorry, not lower thirds, my bad. This is the confidence monitor. Confidence monitor, this converter box converts an HDMI signal to Ethernet, and that Ethernet cable, I'll show you, runs up to that projector, okay, where there's another box that converts it. These boxes are not interchangeable. You can't just go grab another one and plug it in, okay? It has to match, right? So that's this decimator. The first thing I noticed is that this SDI cable, which is the input for this, was not attached. Now, I don't think that was what initially caused the problem. I think that's what happened during troubleshooting. What's going to happen is I'm going to label those, right? So we'll know what we have, right? So I plugged that in, got the confidence monitor back up, but lower thirds wasn't working. Now, I think lower thirds wasn't working after I did that because of whatever happened to this, because I noticed some things were frozen. It just was off, right? I'm going to see if I can lock this system, but I think that's what happened. So here's the second thing I noticed. The projector didn't come on in the concrete area, right? And I noticed that I had something plugged into the Next Steps box, right? Next Steps box is a feed that we have in Next Steps that we haven't used, but it's there. So I was like, I noticed that the projector, outside projector, was plugged into this, but it's labeled Next Steps, which I actually labeled. Out of all the ones I labeled, it's the one I labeled, as well as SmartBoard. Those were new connections. So I just went and said, okay, let's see what's open. And what ended up being open was this one, which I know now is the outside projector decimator. So it had its SDI cable connected to it. I just plugged in the HDMI, and then we got the projector back, okay? So I know it's kind of quick on the troubleshooting. Hopefully it makes sense. If not, you can always come and talk to me, and I'll explain in further detail and gross detail if you want, okay? So final update, I labeled all the decimators so you know what they are. SmartBoard is for the SmartBoard. Next Steps is a feed to Next Steps, which I have to find because it's not connected right now. Confidence Pro feed, this is actually the connection that's coming from Propresenter to the decimator. It comes in, I believe, HDMI, goes out SDI, and then over here is the actual connection to the confidence monitor. So there's another decimator, that SDI comes in, HDMI goes out. That makes me really think about something here. And then you have the feed to the Ethernet that goes to the projector. Remember, this box goes to another box up there. And then you have the outside projector. And actually the question might be, why do I have two decimators? Why don't I just take the HDMI and plug it into that one? Well, it's because it's feeding into our router box, our SDI router box, which gives us the ability to change where it goes if we want to. Just some magic that I can explain further if you want. But I just want to make sure that everybody knows that these things are labeled and they're put in the right place. I'm going to put everything back and be done. Hey, so that's it. So I wanted to leave some tips on troubleshooting, handling our media equipment, stuff like that. And hopefully this is helpful for you. So one tip, the first tip is, like I said, starting with spiritual, the devil has no power here. So don't be like, oh, the devil messed with something and he killed this box and now we got to replace this box. Now the devil just doesn't have that much power. What he'll do is he'll influence us to make a change or to do something we shouldn't have done, and then boom, things go wrong. Okay, devil has no power here, number one. Number two is the troubleshooting that happened on a Sunday. And even I made the same mistake of, on a Sunday, we don't touch, move, swap, change. I know our intention is to get everything working perfectly, but we have to assess the risk and say, okay, is it worth it, right? Is it worth it making the change? If I disconnect this other device that's working to try and see if this device will work, is it worth the change? And the other thing is understanding fully what you're looking at, right? If you don't understand what you're looking at, that might cause you a whole bunch of grief, okay? So know what you're looking at. Don't make unnecessary changes. And hey, listen, what ended up happening is we couldn't use the confidence monitor. So no matter what we did troubleshooting wise, it didn't work, right? So we ended up not using the confidence monitor. It worked out great. Pastor has his notes. The worship team was on point and they knew the lyrics. So we were able to do without it and everything was fine. So let's not touch other things trying to fix something that we might be able to do without. And that's it. So if you have any questions, of course, hit me up. I hope this was helpful. Give me any pointers on anything, or let me know if there's anything else you want to see. I just thought this would be a good way to share this with the team instead of me just doing it and only understanding it. So, peace.